Welcome to our deep dive, all about light. You want to know more about it, and we've got a ton of fascinating research and some amazing historical anecdotes to, shine a light on things.
Yeah, we'll be diving into everything from those old Greek theories about light all the way to modern quantum physics.
I bet we find some pretty surprising things along the way, too.
Definitely.
Like, did you know most animals see the world completely differently than humans do?
Oh, yeah.
Or that it can take like a surprisingly long time for a single ray of sunlight to get from the core of the sun to like right here on your face.
It's true. The more you dig into light, the weirder it gets.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, want to kick things off by going way back in time.
Sure, let's do it.
Back to ancient Greece.
Okay.
Can you imagine thinking that your eyes like actually shot out something that let you see?
Like some kind of sonar.
Yeah, like biological sonar.
That's exactly what ancient Greek philosophers believed.
Yeah.
They thought our eyes sent out these beams that bounced off objects and gave us information about, shapes and stuff.
So they thought our vision was more like a flashlight than a camera.
Yeah, pretty much. And that idea stuck around for a really long time.
For centuries.
Centuries. Even Euclid, the math guy, used it to explain perspective.
Wow. It's kind of wild how differently people have thought about the world throughout history, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the 11th century that somebody actually challenged that whole I-beam theory.
Oh, yeah. Who was it?
An Islamic scholar, Al-Hazen.
Al-Hazen.
He argued that our eyes don't actually emit light. They receive it.
Oh, so he basically flipped the script. He said light is just like out there and we just perceive it.
Right. Pretty radical for that time.
Totally.
Yeah, it was a major turning point in how people studied optics and stuff.
He kind of paved the way for, a more scientific way of thinking about light.
Exactly.
And that brings us to
Newton.
Sir Isaac Newton, the big man himself.
The one and only. So Newton, in his book Optics,
Oh, yeah, his famous book.
he proposes that light is actually made up of these tiny particles, which he called corpuscles.
Corpuscles, huh?
Yeah, and this helped explain stuff like reflection.
Reflection, like when light bounces off a surface.
Yep. And refraction, too.
Diffraction. Oh, you mean like when light bends, like you put a straw in water?
Exactly.
Oh.
So, like those everyday things we see, they sort of supported Newton's theory, right?
Yeah.
That light travels in straight lines and acts like, well, a stream of particles.
Right, right. But then I guess scientists started to notice some things about light that didn't really fit that whole particle idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like if light was only particles, wouldn't two beams of light like clash when they hit each other?
That's a good point.
Instead of passing right through each other, which is like what actually happens, right?
Yeah, more like waves. Think about how sound waves can, like, overlap without, messing each other up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So then it became this whole debate. Is light a wave or a particle? Which brings us to, of course, that classic double-slit experiment. Can you give us a quick rundown on that?
Sure. Imagine shining a beam of light through two narrow slits. Now, if light was just particles, you'd expect to see two bright lines on a screen behind the slits.
Makes sense.
But what you actually get is an interference pattern, like a series of light and dark bands.
Bands.
Yeah, bands. And that pattern, that's like a classic sign of waves.
Yeah.
Kind of like the ripples you see if you drop a couple of pebbles in a pond.
Right. I see what you mean. So that experiment kind of threw a wrench into the whole particle theory.
It totally did. It set the stage for a whole revolution in physics, actually.
And I bet I can guess who led that revolution.
Oh, I think you can.
Einstein.
The one and only.
Yeah.
Einstein proposed this idea that light is a quantum, which is like, Well, it's a packet of energy that can act as both a wave and a particle.
Wait, so it's like light can change depending on how you're looking at it.
That's a pretty good way to put it. It totally shook up how people thought about science and, it basically opened the door to a whole new world of, quantum physics.
And here's the crazy part. All that light we see, like all the colors of the rainbow and all.
Yeah.
That's just a tiny, tiny part of the whole spectrum of light.
Right. Visible light is just a sliver of the entire electromagnetic spectrum.
Electromagnetic spectrum. So that includes like everything.
Everything. From radio waves to gamma rays, the whole shebang. And you know what? A bunch of animals can actually see light beyond the visible spectrum.
Really? Like what?
Lots of them can see ultraviolet light, especially older species like birds, reptiles, insects.
So their world is even more colorful than ours.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what that's like.
Well, imagine seeing a flower with, like, patterns that are invisible to us. They guide bees to nectar.
Whoa, patterns we can't even see.
Yeah. totally invisible to us. It's like they have this whole other level of visual experience. It's going to be amazing.
It's like there's a whole world out there, hidden from us.
It makes you wonder what else we might be missing, right?
Right. Okay, so speaking of hidden worlds, let's turn our attention to the sun.
Right.
The source of, most of our light. But it turns out it's got some crazy secrets. Like, did you know most of the sun's energy isn't even visible to us?
It's true. It's mostly emitted as these things called neutrinos.
Neutrinos, what are those?
They're these teeny tiny particles. They basically have no mass, and they just go right through us, right through the whole planet.
Whoa, like a constant stream of
Ghost energy.
ghost energy right through us. Okay, so the sun's putting out all this invisible energy, but here's another mind-blowing thing. That sunlight we do see, it's super old.
Super old.
How old are we talking?
Tens of thousands of years old, sometimes even hundreds of thousands.
Wait, so that sunlight hitting my face right now is older than, like, human civilization?
Could be. See, it takes forever for those photons, those particles of light,
Yep.
to escape the sun.
Escape the sun out.
They bounce around inside the sun like in a pinball machine before they finally reach the surface and, come zipping towards Earth.
Wow, so every ray of sunshine is like, a little time capsule,
Pretty much.
bringing us ancient energy from, like, the beginning of time.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, so we've covered some ancient theories about light, the whole wave-particle duality thing.
Right.
And the sun's crazy journey to, like, brighten up our world. But let's bring it back to us humans for a minute.
Sure.
Here's a question. Do we all see colors the same way? Like, is my red the same as your red?
Ooh, that's a question that's been bugging people for a long time. Turns out our perception of color is slightly different
Slightly different. Why?
because we all have slightly different photoreceptor cells.
Photoreceptor. Hold on. What are those?
They're the cells in our eyes that actually detect color.
Oh, okay. Got it. So you're saying, like, we all agree on the basic colors, like red, blue, green.
Yeah,
But what those colors actually look like to each of us might be a little different.
exactly. Like everyone has their own personal version of the color palette.
So even something as basic as color, it's kind of subjective. That's so weird.
Yeah, it is.
Now I'm curious about how our color vision even, like, evolved.
Oh, that's a good point. It turns out that mammals, including us humans, have pretty limited color vision compared to some of the older species.
Older species.
Yeah, like way, way back. Our primate ancestors, the ones we evolved from, probably only saw the world in shades of red and blue.
Hold on. Red and blue. So no green, no yellow.
Probably not.
Wow. The world must have looked, like, totally different to them.
Yeah, but there's actually a good reason for that. Those early primates, they were mostly active at night. And at night, color vision isn't as important for survival.
Right. Because it's dark.
Exactly. They relied more on their sense of smell and hearing.
Makes sense.
But then, some primates started becoming active during the day. And that's when being able to see green became a big advantage.
I can see why. It's like to find ripe fruit or the best leaves to eat.
Yep. So it seems like our whole, colorful world is actually pretty recent.
Yeah, it is. Our color vision just changed with our environment and how we lived.
That's evolution for you.
And it makes you realize something kind of crazy. The human brain, it's incredibly complex compared to the amount of information our senses actually take in.
That's true.
Like, we rely so much on vision, but we can only see a tiny fraction of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. It's like we're driving a race car with the parking brake on.
Ah, I like that analogy.
Right. This whole mismatch between our brain power and what we can actually sense, it raises some big questions, don't you think?
It does. It makes you wonder, could our brains actually handle a lot more information than we're giving them?
Yeah.
Is there way more to reality than we could even perceive?
Whoa. It's like we're missing a huge chunk of the picture just because our senses can't pick it up. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So what about those animals with, like, super senses? Earlier we mentioned how some animals see ultraviolet light. Are there any that can sense things even further outside of what we can perceive?
Oh, definitely. There's some really cool examples.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so take snakes.
Snakes.
Yep. Lots of snake species have these special organs called pit organs.
Mhm.
And these let them basically see in infrared,
Wait, so they can, like,
see heat.
see heat, like they have built-in heat vision goggles, right? Like something from a spy movie?
That's a great way to put it.
I love it.
Yeah. And it's super useful, especially for hunting at night.
Okay, so think about it. If we could sense heat like that, walking into a room and, like, immediately knowing where everyone is based on their body heat, or being able to sense someone's mood by their temperature,
Right.
or even like designing buildings with a focus on heat.
Hmm. It really makes you realize how much we base everything on how we perceive the world.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so snakes can see heat. What else is out there? Any other animals with these kinds of crazy senses?
Absolutely.
Tell me everything.
Okay, so certain fish, like sharks and rays, they have electroreceptors.
Electroreceptor.
Yeah, they can pick up on the weak electrical fields that all living things give off.
So they're like swimming around with built-in metal detectors, but for living things.
It's a perfect way to hunt.
I love it. And this is all just in the animal kingdom.
Just in the animal kingdom.
It's crazy to think about all the possible ways there are to experience the world. Makes you think, are there other types of energy or information that we're totally oblivious to?
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I mean, even our scientific instruments, they're limited by what we currently know about physics.
Right.
There could be whole realms of energy and matter that we've barely even scratched the surface of.
Wow. That's both exciting and kind of humbling at the same time. Like, the universe is this massive, mysterious ocean, and we're only wading in the shallow end.
And maybe the coolest part of it all is, you know, our own consciousness. We have these incredibly powerful brains
Right.
capable of abstract thought and, well, curiosity about everything.
But we're held back by our senses.
Exactly.
It's like we're yearning to understand more than we even can.
That's a great way to put it.
This deep dive has taken us from some like really old theories of vision all the way to like animals with superpowers.
We've seen how much our understanding of light has changed and how much the world we're actually missing.
Totally. But now I'm curious. Can we enhance our senses ourselves? Can we use technology to perceive things we couldn't normally?
That's a question that a lot of scientists and engineers are working on right now in this really interesting field.
What field?
Sensory augmentation.
Sensory augmentation. That sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi book.
It does, but it's closer than you might think.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's time we move on to part 2. It's a pretty wild thought, right? Our brains are so powerful, but we're stuck with what our senses can handle.
It's like, what if we're just seeing a tiny little piece of reality?
Maybe. So let's get back to those animals with, like, super senses.
Okay.
We talked about how some can see ultraviolet light.
Right.
Are there any that can sense things even further out there, beyond what we can pick up?
Ooh, good question.
There are some pretty amazing examples, actually.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right. So, for instance, snakes.
The snakes. Okay.
A lot of snake species have these special organs called pit organs.
It organs.
Yeah, and they basically let them see in infrared.
Wait, so they can?
And they can sense heat.
Whoa, so they're like walking around with built-in heat vision.
Right.
Like straight out of a spy movie or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's super useful for them, especially for hunting in the dark.
That's so cool. I mean, imagine if we had heat vision, walking into a room and just knowing where everyone is because of their body heat. Or being able to like sense someone's mood by their temperature
Wow.
or even designing buildings differently, based on heat. It would change everything.
Right. It really shows how much our perception shapes how we understand the world.
Okay, I need more examples. What other animals have these like secret senses?
Lots of them. Okay, so some fish, like sharks and rays,
Sharks.
they have
Okay.
these things called electroreceptors.
Electroreceptors.
Yeah, and these let them detect the electrical fields that all living things give off.
So it's like they have a built-in metal detector, but for living creatures?
Exactly. It's a perfect adaptation for hunting.
I love it. And this is all just in the animal kingdom.
Just in the animal kingdom.
It's mind-blowing. There are so many ways to experience the world. It makes you think, are there other forms of energy or information that we're totally missing just because we don't have the right senses?
It's definitely possible. I mean, even our scientific instruments, they're limited by what we understand about physics, you know?
Right, right.
There could be whole realms of energy and matter that we haven't even discovered yet.
Whoa. That's both exciting and kind of scary at the same time. Like, the universe is this huge, mysterious ocean, and we're only like dipping our toes in the shallow end.
And maybe the most fascinating part of all of this is our own consciousness.
Yeah.
We have these amazing brains that can do so much, like abstract thought and, we're curious about everything,
Right.
but we're limited by what our senses can handle.
It's like we're trying to understand more than we even can.
That's a great way to put it.
So this deep dive has taken us from some really old theories of vision all the way to animals with super senses.
We've seen how much our understanding of light has changed over time and how much of the world we're actually missing.
Totally. But now I'm curious, can we enhance our own senses? Can we use technology to, like, perceive things beyond our normal abilities?
That's a question that a lot of scientists and engineers are working on in this really interesting field called sensory augmentation.
Sensory augmentation, that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction.
It does. Right. But it's actually closer than you might think. Researchers are developing devices that can, like, translate different kinds of data into sensory input that we can understand.
Wait, hold on. Can you give me an example? How can we sense something that we're not, like, naturally equipped to sense?
Okay, so imagine it's a device that could take, like, real-time stock market data and translate it into vibrations you could feel on your skin.
Yeah.
You'd literally be able to feel the market going up and down.
Whoa, that's wild.
Or, like, a device that could turn infrared light into sounds so firefighters could hear hotspots in a burning building.
That's incredible. It's like creating whole new ways for information to enter our brain.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to our current senses either. Researchers are even trying to figure out how to create entirely new senses,
Like what?
like the ability to sense magnetic fields or even gravity.
Whoa, now that's pushing the limits of what it means to be human. But how is that even possible? Our brains aren't wired for that, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge, but neuroscientists are making progress by basically tapping into the brain's plasticity.
Plasticity.
Yeah, it means our brains can actually rewire themselves based on new experiences.
So, like, we could train our brains to interpret these new types of input.
That's the idea. By, like, repeatedly exposing the brain to a new stimulus like magnetic fields and pairing it with a familiar sensation like touch, scientists think we can create new neural pathways that let us actually perceive that new thing directly.
That's mind-blowing. We're basically hacking our own biology to expand our senses.
And the possibilities are endless. Just imagine a world where we could perceive things beyond our current limitations. We could get information directly from our surroundings or even, like, communicate telepathically.
It sounds like something straight out of a movie, but
Yeah.
it's actually happening, right?
It is. And these advancements bring up all sorts of, like, ethical and philosophical questions,
Yeah.
too. Like,
Right.
what does it even mean to be human in a world where technology is blurring the lines of our natural abilities?
It's both exciting and a little bit scary to think about.
Totally. The whole exploration of consciousness and perception, it's an ongoing journey, and there's still so much to learn.
I'm ready for the next step in that journey. Let's dive into part 3. It's amazing to think about how technology could, boost our senses in the future, but it also makes you think about the potential we already have, right? Like, what about the untapped abilities hidden in our own minds?
That's a really interesting area to think about. What if there's a lot more to human perception than we currently understand? What if those ancient Greek philosophers, with their whole I-beam thing,
Yeah.
what if they were onto something? Even if they didn't have all the details right.
So you're saying, like, maybe there's some kind of energy or connection that we just haven't figured out how to detect yet
Yeah.
with our instruments and all.
Exactly. Like, think about the concept of ESP.
ESP.
Yeah. Extrasensory perception, telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, those ideas have been around forever.
Yeah, and a lot of people are skeptical about it.
Oh, for sure.
And, like, there have been hoaxes and stuff,
Definitely.
but I don't know, it's hard to just dismiss the whole idea.
I know what you mean.
Like, haven't you ever had a really strong gut feeling about something, an intuition that turned out to be right,
Oh, yeah.
or, like, felt a connection with someone that you couldn't really explain?
For sure. And there's actually more and more evidence that our brains are processing information on a subconscious level all the time.
Yeah.
Like picking up on cues and patterns that we don't even realize.
So our brains are kind of running these, like, background programs, analyzing data and making connections without us knowing.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe, sometimes, those subconscious processes, they come out as intuition
Hmm.
or creativity or even those aha moments when you suddenly figure something out.
It's like tapping into a deeper level of knowing, a way of being connected that's beyond our 5 senses.
Yeah, maybe light or some other kind of energy plays a part in that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. What if there are these subtle energy fields that connect us all? And, like, allow information or emotions to pass between us?
Whoa.
And what if they're actually influencing our thoughts, our feelings, even how we act without us even realizing?
It's like we're all part of this giant web of energy, constantly sending signals and stuff back and forth.
Okay.
And maybe some people are just like more sensitive to those energies, more aware of that connection.
That's a pretty amazing thought, isn't it? It means we're not just individuals, but like nodes in a giant network.
Whoa. This deep dive has really taken us on a journey, huh? From those ancient theories to animals with super senses to the frontiers of science. We've even touched on the mysteries of consciousness.
It's been fascinating to see how light shapes everything, how it connects us to the universe, and maybe even holds the key to, unlocking some deeper understanding of ourselves and reality.
We started by asking, what is light? And what we found out is, well, light's way more than just, a physical thing.
It's everywhere.
It's energy, it's information, and maybe it's even connection. It really shows that there's always more to learn, more to explore, more to wonder about.
And as we keep learning about light, who knows what else we'll find out.
Thanks for joining us on this illuminating deep dive into the world of light,
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
and that you'll keep that sense of curiosity and wonder alive.